Chelsea are an interesting one because we were saying earlier that Chelsea haven't. We're going to come back to Arsenal a little bit later, so stay with us, people. Chelsea haven't signed anyone significant yet, but they are obviously the Caicedo deal's going on. Dybala's now being linked, 10 million pounds. Do you think they need some players of the sort of the age and profile of a Dybala to help these kids that they've signed?
Dybala would be such a like Chelsea signing as well because they just like love technicians who can't put the ball in the back of the net. So that's kind of what they like at Chelsea. Chelsea, if the Caicedo thing doesn't happen for them, are kind of a little bit screwed. Because for me personally, I remember I came on this terrace and people still get annoyed by the comment that I made till this day. I said Chelsea don't need Caicedo, they need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. People got real angry. And I stick by that. Chelsea's biggest problem right now is putting the ball in the back of the net. And they don't have wingers who can do that consistently, and they do not have strikers who can do that consistently. So for me, I look at Chelsea Football Club, and if I'm in their place, I'm signing 3 forwards before I look at any other position. Like that entire front line stinks. Like Mudryk needs to improve massively. You need goal scorers. Chelsea Football Club need goal scorers. And when it comes to Pochettino, the project is a good project. Pochettino is someone who's been there, done that. It's just a different fan base, though. He has never worked for a fan base. I mean, besides PSG, but he's never really worked with a fan base like the Chelsea fan base, was just kind of so impatient. And with Chelsea fans, I think they kind of need to like change their mentality too. They need to understand that they're no longer doing what they used to do. Now they're actually doing this entire thing differently. And that's why they got Pochettino. If they wanted to continue doing it, quote unquote, the Chelsea way, they would have just gotten in Enrique. They would have gotten maybe one of those managers, Hansi Flick, for example. But they gotten Pochettino because they do want to build a project. And their signings are project signings, youngsters, players who need time to develop. So I think Chelsea are kind of a little bit as well all over the place right now. As when it comes to signing Dybala, I think Dybala could be a good addition for Chelsea. But once again, Dybala, Mudryk, and like whoever on that Chelsea, like Nkunku, like, yeah, okay, on paper that sounds amazing, but who's going to score you the 20 goals you need? That's the issue, because I know Mudryk ain't going to bag 20. I know Dybala ain't going to bag 20. And, I know Nkunku ain't going to bag 20 in this league. So you need a consistent goal scorer. That's the problem. So I think Chelsea still have quite a few things to fix.
Man like Matt here says, we are patient when we see a vision. We gave Tuchel time, and when he was in his Don, we still, I think he means down period. Like we still backed him. Like they definitely need goal scorers. But do you not think that Poch can get the Mykhailo Mudryks, the Sterlings scoring again? Do you not think it was just a collapse of confidence really that happened?
He can improve them, but like. Okay, Terry, let's just give a realistic prediction, right? What would you say is a Mudryk good season next season in terms of GA? Like a good season. Not amazing, not crap, just
20 to 25 in all comps.
Yeah, but do you think even that is like 20 GA for Mudryk? Do you think that's like, do you think he could get that? 25 GA?
I think he could if he start. Like it's all about your start. So let's just say Mudryk plays 50 games. I mean, well, they've got no European football, so it might be less than that. He's probably going to play more like 45 to 50 games. He could. I think he could get 20. But the thing is, if you could get, let's just say less than, let's say 15. If for instance, Mudryk can get 15, and
even you just removed 5 directly after thinking about it.
The reason I'm doing that is if he can get 15 and Madueke can get 15, you can start spreading that amongst their team. That's what sometimes you don't need one person getting 45, 50. If everybody's picking up 15 to 20, they'll be okay. And the amount of chances they missed last year, I just don't believe that they're as bad as the performances made us think they were.
No, I agree with you. And even the idea I agree with, but even when you look at an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a City, they always had at least someone who could put the ball in the back of the net at an elite level. Salah, Sterling for City when he was banging for 2-3 seasons. You've got even like, by the way, this was also a part of Arsenal's kind of a little bit of like downfall this season. Like they needed someone to put the ball in the back of the net. I'm not saying they need a striker who's going to score 30 goals and that's it. Of course, others need to contribute. But do I see someone at least getting them like 17, 18 Premier League goals, I would say no. That's my thing. So
No,
like,
I think they need a Vlahovic, someone of those levels. I mean,
yes, that's the what.
Nkunku, I mean, the thing with Jackson is, I'm not going to lie, Jackson is a complete unknown entity to me. I don't know enough about him. I haven't read too many great things. I've read great things that Chelsea blogs and articles have said since he signed, but I haven't read too much that was great prior. And I always, whenever I look at scouting reports, I always say read them before your club was linked, read them before your club signed him, because we all have everyone will always try to embellish in the truth or an opinion on a player.
Embellish, what a word.
Yeah, it's a great word. Like, that's what I always say this to people. I've been saying it for years in the tier. Say like we're linked to Højlund. If I read a scouting report about Højlund, I read them from a year ago before he was linked to Man United, rather than one that was written by a Man United website 2 weeks ago, because they'll embellish on the facts and they'll exaggerate bits and they make it sound better than it is. And it's never a true reflection, if that makes sense, because bias creeps in, and especially when it's done in that way. Equally, if they're a publication that typically is horrible about your club, they're probably going to play it down a little bit. So go for something more neutral prior. But yeah, look, Chelsea
before your club was even linked to him, type thing. That's what you need to find as well.
Yeah, but I do think with Chelsea as well, though, on top of some goal scorers, I think they need some older players. I think they need 2 or 3 players that come in of.
But they're getting rid of their older players like that.
I know, and that's going to be in terms of listen, they're not winning the league next year, whatever they do. But to make the top 4, which I think is a plausible target, they've got to add some experience, more experience in.
I agree.
You need that balance. And if he was 5 years younger, I'd say go and sign James Milner. They need a player like him. They need a player like the bar. They need some players that have been there, done it, and won the team. They're linked to Vlahovic. Bring him in. He's only 23, 24, but that's still experienced enough. He's been at World Cups. He's played in the Champions League. He understands things. He's been through turmoil this year at Juve. He gets what playing under the spotlight means. I just think Chelsea need a little bit more of that added to their team. They've got Chilwell and James, and they've got Silva, and they'll have, of course, Sterling unless he leaves. But I do think they need some older players in the team. I get why they've sold certain older players and got rid of them. I get it. But I think you might just need that little bit more. Leeds United in the late 90s tried to do a class of 92. They tried to bring kids through. Their problem was it was all kids. They didn't have enough of an experienced core around them, and it fell away. They got to a Champions League semi. There's some title pushes. They didn't quite have enough. You look at Barca's young team, United's young team. It had a core of experienced pros right through the middle, leading them. No Chelsea fan should be looking at your kids 21 and under and going, you're going to win this league. It should be the experienced players that are your anchors, your foundation, and those younger players play off them. If you get that mixture right, this Chelsea team could develop a very dangerous side over the next 12 to 18 months. There's no doubt about that in my mind, but they've got to bring in.
It needs time, though. It needs time. That's the thing. Do you think the Chelsea fans would give them time? That's my thing. Like, it's just how do I see Chelsea giving? Because Chelsea fans are the polar opposite of giving a manager time. That's my thing.
But they will for Poch. And do you know why they will for Poch? Because whether Poch wins them the Premier League or not, they're going to play better football. And when you play attractive, beautiful football, you get more time. If you're in a relationship, I think it's going to sound it's right or wrong. If you're a girl or a guy and you're in a relationship with your partner, and your partner, say you look at yourself, I'm a 6 out of 10. But just say, for instance, you've been fortunate enough and you're dating someone who's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, and aesthetically they're beautiful, and everybody's looks at you and you're out, and all your mates are like, mate, have you done that? She's amazing. Or if you're a woman, all your girlfriends are like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful man ever. You will put up with a little bit more of their shit when they look like that than if you look at them and you like them, but they're not that great, and everyone says you shouldn't be with them. You can put up with them more. You put up with a lot more. And I feel like when it comes to, if the football's pretty, if the football's attractive, you can put up with the results. You can be a little bit more patient because by the way, fans, especially the tacticos, like, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. No, you just see the ball moving nicely. They're given more time. So I do think what's it called? Pretty privilege. That is the word for it. Pretty privilege.
Pretty privilege.
And it's true. If there is pretty privilege when it comes to football, he'll get time. The issue was when it came to Potter, it wasn't that nice to look at when everybody thought it would be. Again, if they're in 12th place, he'll get no time. They have to also grow and be further up the league. But yeah, it's Yeah, it's true. It's true. Someone said it's not a good analogy. It's a great analogy in my opinion. It depends. Maybe the people saying it's not a great analogy have never had a good-looking girlfriend or boyfriend, so they don't get it. But it's true. It's very true. There's a few super chats that have come in here. Nathaniel says Chelsea main striker targets are Moani, Lautaro, Martinez, and Vlahovic. So one of them will be coming. Yeah, you'll sign a. I think you'll sign a main level striker. 100%. 100%. This here says, can we discuss yesterday's point? Arsenal need to win a major trophy in the next 5 years. You complain about Spurs fans not having the right expectations. Then what the F was that? Yeah, that was an Arsenal fan saying he wants at least one title in the next 5 years.
Next 5 years. The 5 years is too much time. It's just too much time. Too much time. And it's just like I just 5 years. Like, I don't know, what are they trying to build Constantinople? Like, you've got to win soon, bro. I think Arsenal Football Club need to win right now the Champions League or the Premier League. They need to win one of those. Like, it's as simple as that. I just all this give people time, blah blah blah. It's just nah. They need to win something soon. I'd say this year as well. And by the way, Arteta, there's pressure on him. Like, we can't push it to the side. Like, it's just a nothing. Like, there is pressure on the guy because of the amount of money they've spent. Money equals pressure. That's just how life works. I know for a fact if we signed Colwell and Lavia for 130 million and our total spend is like 250, Klopp's gonna have extra pressure on him. That's just how life works. You spend that much money, you have pressure on you to perform.
100%. This here says, take it from Aguna. Our experienced players fouled us in the final stretch of 4 seasons in a row. Also, we who in his right mind could say Havertz and Rice are inexperienced.
I'd say Havertz is inexperienced outside the UCL. Like, I think Premier League winning experience, he don't have it. And with Rice, I'd say the same. Outside knockout competitions, he wouldn't have like experience like that. Like outside, I'm saying outside that, like, it's just title race. He don't have that experience, so that experience matters as well.
No, I understand that. When it comes to Arsenal and Liverpool are both looking at, and Chelsea are all looking at one of the same players, Lavia. 50 million pound deal. It hasn't really progressed in the last week or so, like many people thought it would. Where do you see him ending up?
Too much money. 50 million. I agree with all three clubs. If they say 50 million, it's too much money. Spoke to Lavia's personal friend actually, and I'm not an ITK or anything. You guys know this. I just say what I like know, and it was kind of reported in the media as well. I know for a fact Klopp and Lavia have spoken, and like Lavia obviously would want to move to Liverpool Football Club, would want to become the best DM in the world. I think this is where obviously my whole attractive thing that I stated has to come to fruition. However, Arsenal fans, if you put the money on the table and Liverpool don't, that does not mean you're more attractive. That means you put the money on the table. So let's just get that straight out the way directly. But I think Romeo Lavia is 100% needed at Liverpool Football Club. I think Romeo Lavia would definitely start at Liverpool Football Club. And I think he would be the absolute right now, the much needed final kind of piece in the puzzle. With Chelsea, I think he'd just be like, with Chelsea Football Club, it'd just be a problem. Him going to Chelsea, I think, would probably be a bad career decision. And I say that the same for Caicedo. I think Chelsea right now are probably not the best of clubs to go to. Maybe Pochettino changes that a little bit, but it's a bit different. With Liverpool Football Club, he'd start at us. For Arsenal, I don't think he starts. And it depends who they sell. The only way Lavia probably starts for Arsenal is if they sell Partey. Maybe in that world, he starts for them. But for me, I do see probably Lavia ending up at Liverpool Football Club if we put the money on the table, of course.
Yeah, I think Arsenal will only go for him if Thomas Partey leaves. So I think that if he stays, then I think it gives you a free run. Chelsea is interesting because they obviously want Caicedo first. They want to focus on that and they want to get it done. But I think if you add Lavia to Liverpool, I think wherever he goes, I think he's such a star player. Look, City fans are not really going to care. They're treble winners. They've just brought Kovacic in. They've got a brilliant midfield. I do think, though, it might be 2 or 3 years down the line, they might regret them allowing him to leave. I think he's that good. for his first year in the Prem, to be at an unstable club in relegation like Southampton, and for him to put the performances in that he did, he's a sensational talent. He really,
100%,
really
100%.
he is here. We need the Prem or Champions League next year, realistically, as I can't see him getting much time if he fails to win next season. I think that's regarding Arsenal winning the league.
Yeah.
You keep your attractiveness argument, but for me, as long as we land players, that's all that matters, is what Dev says here.
Yeah, of course. That's a good argument. But what I'm saying, Dev, is if you put the money on the table and Liverpool don't, that does not mean that you're more attractive. That means that you're more willing to spend money. Those are two different, completely different.
Lang and Sweet here says, agree Terry Miles better than Calvin Phillips. Well, he had a much better season. But again, if you guys could get Calvin Phillips back to his Leeds, at Leeds, Calvin Phillips was great. But
Calvin Phillips had probably, I'd say Calvin Phillips, the season before he joined City, played better than Lavia this year. I'm going to be honest with you. Like Calvin Phillips, guys, remember just last summer, Phillips versus Rice was a conversation. Let's not push that to the side. We were actually debating who's better, Phillips or Rice. I was actually a Phillips guy because I was saying Phillips is better on the ball. I think he had that, like they don't call him the Yorkshire Perlo for no reason because he could pass that ball. So like, and that's why City signed him. So I think it's a conversation. It's not no longer a conversation because Rice obviously became better and better and better. But I wouldn't like. Let's not disrespect Calvin Phillips now. Like he's a nobody. He at Leeds he was banging, bro.
Yeah, he was, and maybe that's what they've got to do. This year says Lavia is overrated. Rice and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg double the player. Lavia is not very good. Everyone is suffering from recency bias.
I love how you snuck in Højbjerg like we wouldn't notice. I have no idea how you put Højbjerg in that list. Højbjerg is like a chihuahua, and he ain't all that. Højbjerg is not like I wouldn't sign Højbjerg on a free.
Deluded Liverpool fan dreaming of Colwell.
I never said we're gonna sign him. I've already said it's too much money. Go back to the Liverpool section, Zani. But thank you for the super chat, my brother. I appreciate it.
What's going on with Mbappe? Where's he gonna go? Most likely
Liverpool.
It's gonna be Real Madrid. It's gonna be Real Madrid. I can't see him going anywhere else.